What's up, everybody? Jordan here, back with another episode of the Fitness, Food, and Freedom podcast. And today we're talking about how to prevent the biggest problems in your fitness journey. I paused because I gave away the ending. I was going to say how to fix any problem in your fitness journey. And the answer is to prevent. Mainly, what we're trying to do is to prevent digging ourselves into holes. And I want to talk a little bit about that today and why digging yourself into a hole is about the worst thing you could do for your progress, whether it's in your nutrition, your training, your injury, your recovery, anything like that. Worst thing you could do is find yourself deep into a hole that's hard to get out of. We will start right away, just off the bat. Just want to thank everyone for listening to last week's episode that came out on Thursday evening. Appreciate the support of getting back into the podcast. And like I said, these episodes are going to be coming out Mondays and Thursdays. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use, whether it's YouTube, you can watch the video version of it. This one is just me talking to the screen today. And then sometimes there'll be visual aids and videos and screen shares and things like that too. Stoltz Fit on YouTube, or you could check out Fitness, Food, and Freedom on Apple, Spotify, or whatever other platform you choose to listen to podcasts on. So we'll get down to today's topic and kind of just rant or talk about it today. It's right now it's 4:21, and I am tasked with making homemade pizza tonight, starting in about 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter than last week's. We're going to stick in the 20-minute range or something like that, and just talk about today's topic and something I think is important, and one of those things that you can kind of use as a concept that can be applied into your own journey in a specific way, right? Like it might for you be related to nutrition. Maybe for me, it's related to training more so. And it definitely is. Or it might be related to something totally different that I'm not even going to scratch on, but you can still kind of apply the same concept to your own situation. And that's what I try to do in these episodes is provide kind of short, actionable things that you can take and apply. And if you ever need help applying those things, just reach out to me. A comment works. jordanstoltzfitness@gmail.com is an email where you can reach out to me directly, and I'll help you out with, consults or coaching or whatever you need. Happy to help. So today we want to talk about digging ourselves into holes. And what I mean by that is, and I work with people all the time, right? So I'm kind of coming from an anecdotal place here where I go through my own journey, yes, but also working with many, many people through the years, probably thousands of people, honestly, in back and forth conversations, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, young, old, middle-aged, male, female, athlete, untrained, it doesn't matter. All these people, me included, you included, have something in common, which is the things you need to learn, the lessons that are important are consistency matters over everything. That's like number one, right? I think everyone's journey is going to come down to what can you be consistent with? What are you going to enjoy and do long term? Because this stuff takes a long time and it's supposed to be a lifestyle, something for life. The other thing is that you just need to kind of prevent yourself from falling off track completely. That can look like a lot of different ways. It could look like injuries. It could look like giving up. It could look like other life priorities get in the way and kind of overtake your fitness thing from becoming something you prioritize in your life. From all the people that I work with, the most frustrating situation for me as a coach and for other people has to be when someone's so deep into a hole that they just cannot get themselves out of. They claw and they claw and they claw and they're digging, trying to get out of this hole, and they finally get out of the hole, and then it just like sucks them right back in, right? And I can kind of talk through you guys a little bit of what I consider these holes that you can get into in your fitness journey. I see this so often. People just stuck in some kind of terrible cycle that they just can't get out of. And it's very, very hard to escape that. And it's something that once you're in that hole, it's like if you actually think of it as a literal hole that you've dug for yourself, it's not like you fill it back up with dirt when you're done. that hole's always there, and it's very easy to accidentally step back into it and fall into this same pattern and trap, right? I'm sure that's true in a lot of different areas of life, is that once you kind of create a situation for yourself, it becomes hardwired in a sense, and it's just easy to slip back into that. So the best way to prevent this happening at all is to just not dig the holes in the first place. Of course, me, you, other clients might be already in holes, and we can kind of talk about how to get out of those as we go. But I want to share some of these holes, as an example with you, and kind of talk about how you would this common problems I see and how you would prevent having that problem be in your own journey. So let me pull this up because I got a note here on my phone that I need to reference to make sure I don't get too scattered and too kind of lost in the weeds, because that's pretty easy to do. So here we go. Again, the best place to be is to avoid the holes in the first place. And these are some examples that I came up with of the most common things I see. We'll kind of talk about each one, how to prevent it, even how to get out of it. You might fall into one or many of these categories. Number one is building up tons of fatigue by overdoing it in training. And we talked about this last week a little bit with the full body workout system that I'm kind of starting to recommend more and more to people that I work with. Fatigue exists, and that's something you always kind of have to just keep on your mind, right? Fatigue exists. You might get in the gym, you've had your caffeine, you feel all fired up, the music's bumping, your gym nemesis is hitting a weight that you could easily do for 10. Like, these things are going on all around you, and you are in a zone where you can push to the max, right? What you need to always remember and be conscious of is that fatigue exists in your whole life. Like we talked about last week, it's a whole bucket. You have your fatigue bucket, and that is filled up with any type of fatigue from anything in 24/7 time, right? 365. It could be life stress, what's on your mind, how your kids doing, how your parents doing. It could be your job, it could be your spouse, it could be money, it could be training, and it could be nutrition, it could be a diet, it could be recovery. All of these things are adding to this whole stress bucket, right? So the important thing is to manage that and make sure that you aren't pushing so hard in training that you're overdoing all of your stress and fatigue, that just kind of overflows and you burn out. All right, that's what I see all the time. Most of the time, what I see though is just overdoing it in general on volume, right? I mean, just like too much stuff too often, and that's a very simple way to put it, but that's kind of what volume is. It's how much stuff are you doing and how often are you doing it, right? How much total are you doing in a given amount of time? The easiest way to prevent this kind of thing is manage your volume, which basically means do the least amount needed to elicit change. We talked about that last week too, right? How much do you really need? If you're talking literal sets and reps, maybe it's 6 sets a week instead of 16. Everyone's number can be a little bit different. That's something a good coach can kind of help you figure out. But you likely don't need as much as you think you do if it's good, intense training. That's a really important thing, managing your volume, managing your intensity. Also, I really include in here, because of some of my new interests and dabbling in cardio activity, mainly running and cycling. I think that proper fueling is really important in here too, because I've noticed, especially with the endurance work, strength training in the weight room, it's like you can really do some damage if you overdo it, and that you just got to take time to recover. It doesn't matter how many protein shakes you drink after. If you're too sore and you overtrain and you damage the muscles, you got to wait for those to repair before you can go do it again. With endurance work, however, it kind of, yes, makes your muscles a bit tired, but it does also just kind of drain your whole central nervous system, which is very true of any other type of stress in this fatigue bucket, right? Like stress, life stress, sleep trouble, job, money, all the stuff we talked about. You get that draining your central nervous system, and fueling the activity properly really helps mitigate that, I've noticed. I mean, like, to keep it basic, we can talk fueling strategies another time, but pre-workout carbs, intra-workout carbs, so carbs during the actual training, I've noticed helps a lot actually. And I'm in my sessions, it'll be something like 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour of activity. So that's only with endurance training and cardio that I do that. And strength training, it's just pre-workout meal, post-workout meal. That's good enough. With the endurance and cardio work, it's usually something in the middle I've noticed to be beneficial. And, I've noticed total stress go down a lot with that, and also better sleep and recovery just by fueling properly during the actual session. So that can be something you experiment and dabble with if you're somebody that, and this is kind of where I found myself this year, is someone who is very like sensitive to overdoing it in training. Like it's just like you think you got it, all of a sudden, boom, you're over the limit, and it takes a week to recover because you overdid it, you overshot, you overreached, and then, all of a sudden that just builds up and you just have this big central fatigue. You're tired, you're sore, you have muscle aches, you don't feel good energy through the day, like that kind of stuff, right? So, fueling properly and managing the volume is key. Again, try to keep, I think, the volume a little bit less, but very consistent is much more important than just blasting something. And then fueling properly so you don't kind of dig yourself into this recovery hole. Once you're in the recovery hole, if you're already kind of this person that's very fatigued, sore muscles a lot, you don't feel strong, you kind of feel like noodly. I don't know if that's the right word, but where your legs kind of feel like wet spaghetti sometimes doing exercise. You are kind of in this process of overreached in your training, underfueled in general. So the only way to fix it once you're in the hole is to stop training. Only low intensity activity, walking, stuff like that. And so basically a deload is what I'm talking about. Only I just advocate for just time off completely because of the mental burden that even just going to the gym 4 times for a deload could have. Eliminate the training for 1 to 2 weeks. Eat at maintenance calories or even better, a little bit above. So a surplus would be even better. Maintenance is okay. I know people don't want to gain weight during that time, but enough calories where you're not worried about the scale so much. You're just kind of thinking about replenishing and refueling. You need that to just drop that total stress and fatigue and kind of get back on track. And I have to do it once in a while. Probably have to do it every few months because I overreach too much. And that's kind of just a common problem and pattern with me. Again, like I said, it's just like once you have the hole dug and it's something you open up for yourself, it's easy just to step back into that over and over. It's never really just like filled in and fixed. Once you're out of it, you still are easily slipping back into that. So tough one. But you can definitely get out of there pretty simply. It's just kind of a pain because you like being in the gym and making progress, but you have to just take time off and eat enough. Number 2 is going to be running out of calories, or we'll say falling short on activity by the end of the day. So putting off what you need to do too long through the day, right? This is a day-by-day hole that people find themselves in, and it just results in no progress, honestly, because, and it kind of makes you hate the journey too, right? Because if you get to the end of the day and you don't have any calories left, you've eaten all your carbs and fat, and you just have egg whites for dinner, no one likes that. You're probably not going to stick to your plan consistently. You're going to fall off. You're going to burn out. If you do stick to it, you're going to hate it. Most likely, though, you're just going to stick to it for a day or two and then fall off track. That sounds like you basically need eating strategies that promote discipline in the times you feel disciplined and promote flexibility in the times you feel like you need the flexibility. So for some, including myself, that might be, and most people, honestly, from what I work with, easy to stay disciplined during the day, eat a little lighter, stick to protein, fruit, vegetables, and a little bit of carbs around training. And then at night, you can kind of backload all of those carbs, fat, and total calories to be able to, just eat whatever you want flexibly. Go out to eat with your family. If you're not tracking food, you can kind of just like eat whatever meal is there, and it's pretty easy to do. You just kind of stick to some basic whole food guidelines for the day, and then eat the flexible meal at night. That's a good way to do it. You also can think of this on like a week by week basis. Like, do you need more calories or prefer more calories on the weekend? Is it hard to stick to the weekend when you've already been eating, X number of calories through the week? And then you have to do that as well on the weekend. It's not possible because grabbing food out to eat, you're on a date, whatever. If that's the case, use the discipline during the week. This is the fix, right? Use the discipline during the week, and then on the weekend, you have more flexibility. You can mix both of those. I do that, right? I have like days during the week that are a little bit lower in calorie, but not that low. And then days that are higher on the weekend, specifically on Saturday. And then throughout each day, most of the calories from at least fat are at night. And I do eat a lot of carbs during the day too. That kind of leads me to the second way to prevent this whole is to just move more in general. I really find this issue to really be the case with people who under move. They're too sedentary, right? If you're not moving enough, you're having to eat pretty low calorie. These things go hand in hand. It's pretty simple. I mean, it is the equation. Unfortunately, to hear for a lot of people, it is going to come down to how much are you moving consistently every single day, and then how much are you eating. And that's basically the equation for how you're going to change your body weight. People that I work with and that see me on my job and stuff often say like, it's crazy you can eat that much and, still lose weight or maintain weight or whatever they think is going on. They just are making an assumption at that point. They don't really see the behind the scenes of like moving 15 to 20,000 steps every single day, running 4 times a week, cycling 3 times a week for over an hour and a half each time, right? Like hitting the weight room 3 to 5 times a week. Like these things are all, building into that calories outside of the equation, allowing me to be more flexible in the nutrition side of things. So it's just a way that I like to do things, high flux in a way you could say. And that is a good way to do it. If you are struggling with running out of calories, like you don't have enough to eat by the end of the day, you don't like your dinners, they're too strict, you have a trouble adhering after dinner because you want a snack or dessert, the answer is to just move more. Bump your steps up by 5,000 and you're going to be able to just eat more of what you want, right? And then basically still stick to the same meals, for the early meals, late meal, you can just kind of make up for whatever that activity did. High volume foods are another good solution here. And if you're in the hole already, a good way to kind of get out of it, include more high volume foods. So move more and then eat more high volume foods, which I enjoy eating nuts. Pause. I enjoy eating walnuts, pecans, be more specific here, and avocados and things like that, I guess, but those things are very high calorie for the amount of volume they have. That's a very important concept in nutrition that you need to realize, especially if your goal is to change your body composition. Food volume makes a huge difference. So eating a big salad is going to fill your stomach up more than eating, a handful of peanuts or something, and a lot less calories as well. So you can kind of play with food volume a little bit, focus on things that fill you up and are satiating. The next one, I guess I can talk about steps too. And steps, I mean, it should be basic, right? Like if you're running, if you get to the end of the day and you're at 3,000 steps and your goal is 10,000, like you're going to have to go for a long, long walk when you'd rather just be watching Netflix, right? And I mean, the goal is just 2 things: get your steps earlier, wake up early, walk for an hour, that kind of thing. Or it's like buy a walking pad. I'm standing on a walking pad right now. I'm not walking, but when you are watching TV, you're doing whatever you want at night. If that's really your only time for the day, and it's probably not, walk on the walking pad. I mean, just like don't let yourself sit down until you hit that goal, and you'll be good. Next one, maybe let's turn on a little light here. So like just 1 second. I'm going to turn on a light so I can get some more front light on my face. That's a lot. I'm going to turn that off. apologies if you're listening. I'm just kind of playing with the studio here on the YouTubes. Next one we're going to talk about is going to be extreme hunger and cravings. Um, Something I deal with a lot with people. I haven't really had that happen necessarily. The key here is, again, kind of like this under fueling overtraining concept. If you are experiencing a lot of hunger and cravings, the only way out of it is to just eat more for a long period of time. It might take a while. The fix is you might have to eat at maintenance or above for 3-4 months. I mean, you might even just like stop tracking food for a while, right? And make sure you're just eating to satisfy. That might be at maintenance, way above, below sometimes. Just kind of get more in tune with this hunger signal process. But the fix to prevent yourself from digging this hole, and even if you are in that or have been in the past, you can still prevent in the future. And I highly recommend limiting any kind of fat loss diet to 3 or 4 months. So not dieting weeks on weeks on weeks on weeks, like 12 weeks, 16 if you're very overweight. I prefer 6 to 8 for most people. Keep the diet short, stick to the plan for that amount of time that's shorter, and then get out of there. That is what I found to be more helpful than anything. And again, we can eat high volume foods that kind of takes care of a lot of hunger, more water. Stay busy. Sometimes we're just bored, not hungry. And then also, same thing, move more, eat more. It's kind of a better strategy than move less, eat less. You're not going to be as hungry if you can eat a lot more because you're an active person. So that's kind of the end of that one, but it's a tough hole to be into. I highly recommend just not dieting all year. And really, that's a mistake that so many people make, is like diet until the wheels fall off, and then it's gain all the weight back, and then it's diet again till the wheels fall off. Is a tough cycle, and that can kind of lead into the next point, which is rebound weight. How do you get out of the hole of, I lost all this weight and now I just gained it all back, or I gained 10 pounds back or 20 back? The answer is to control the exit. And this is the fix. This is the fix and the prevention in one here. And it's just that phase your diet. It's not a light switch on the diet, off the diet. It's on the diet. And then maintenance is also a diet, right? Like you're going to be on a diet forever. I mean, unless you really just want to kind of like loosely, intuitively maintain. If you want to specifically maintain where you're at right now, you need to pay close attention to your nutrition. If you want to gain, you got to do so intelligently, pay its close attention, and then lose also, right? So we need to kind of keep this conscious top of mind thing on our nutrition all the time, make a smart exit from the diet. This could mean a slow reverse diet up in calories, or getting a good calculation of your maintenance so you can jump right from the fat loss calories to maintenance, still tracking carefully, eating the same type of foods and not going too crazy once you end the diet. A lot of strategies and nuances play here, but that's kind of the main thing. The last one I kind of want to talk about is in regards to training, and that's injuries. Again, injuries, a tough hole to get out of. I think acute stuff is going to happen. I mean, you can be safe in the gym, do your exercises properly, but sometimes you're going to tweak your back, row cycle. Sometimes you swim, sometimes you jump rope. Rotate that. Don't always just pound away at the same motion day in and day out for years. Same with the weight room. Even if an exercise feels good, swap it out after 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks for a different one. Bring it back in the next time. Like just keep on changing things up so you get slight variations, whether it's resistance profiles or where your force is being applied, whether it's out or in or whatever. Like just changing up the exercises is going to make a big deal to avoid those overuse injuries. And then variety of rep ranges I like too. I mean, most of the good work is done in the 4 to 10 rep range, but mix in the 10s, the 12s, the 20s, like do a little bit of everything. I like even for one exercise doing a set of like 4 to 6 and then 6 to 8 and then 8 to 10, reducing the weight 10% or so every time. That's a good way to kind of mix in rep ranges automatically without periodizing too much. There's a lot more. I mean, it's time to make pizza, to be honest. It's 4:45, so I got to run up and make some pizza for the family and, kind of go on with the evening. But you get the idea. The best treatment for your fitness problems is prevention of your fitness problems. You need to be consistent, stick to something, and implement plans that you can stick to, recover from, transition out of. Be smart about your planning and phasing here. If you are in one of these holes, you can reach out for help or use some of the advice I gave in this episode. More good stuff to come. I kind of want to talk about this today, but that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing. I mean, if you're on the YouTube and subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. More good stuff to come there. And of course, Spotify is my favorite podcast platform personally. Apple as well. If I had an iPhone, I would, use their podcast app. So that could be a good place to go. And thank you for joining me for this episode. Stay out of these holes, guys. It's a bad, bad place to be. And there's hope. If you're in one, you can easily claw your way out of it. But it is going to be a bugger. And honestly, it is for me too. So the best way to kind of keep yourself from having that issue is to not get them in the first place, which I know is easier said than done sometimes. But, it's all a journey, and, just do the best you can as consistently as you can, and you'll be just fine, everybody. I'll talk to you guys next time.